So has anyone tried the Trader Joe's spinach balls? They keep them in the freezer. They're like little orders. Okay, first of all, these things are delicious, which is kind of like a little bit dangerous, right? So this was sort of my attempt to recreate these with kale. And that sort of leads me to my point that any of these recipes that I'm showing you today, with the possible exception of the kale chips, you can really use any green, okay, in any of these recipes. The kale, you know, for reasons I outlined earlier, of course I'm doing today, but these were based on a spinach ball recipe. They do have some wheat product in them, so if anyone, and dairy, so if anyone has any allergies, then these are not for you. But they're super easy to make. I've got some kale, again, that I just sauteed with some onion and garlic. And I'm just going to give that a little chop here. And I'm adding that to a bowl here that I've got some panko breadcrumbs, some cream cheese that's been softened, a little bit of feta cheese as well, and a little bit of cumin and cilantro. I think that covers all of the ingredients. Now you can certainly chop this kale in a food processor for a more uniform texture. And truth be told, that's what I did for the little balls that you guys are eating now, just because it made it a little bit easier while I was prepping yesterday. But if you don't have a food processor, you can also chop the kale by hand. And so what I'm going to do is just mix this up, sort of squish it all together. And this would be a great project if you do have children. Once you get everything in the bowl, little kids do like to form things with their hands, which I'm sure you all have noticed before. And you can also, since they can mix it with their hands, it makes it kind of fun as well. So kind of squish it all together. There is an egg in here as well. It says 1 to 2 eggs, or rather it may say 1 egg. You'll have to tell me. It says 2 eggs. Okay. So I have 1 in here right now. Depending kind of on how moist your kale is, depending on the weather, depending on all kinds of things, it may vary how much egg you need to add. So start with 1 and then add another if you need it. The same thing with the breadcrumbs. Sometimes it works a little bit better with a little bit more breadcrumb. This is one of those recipes, just like when you're making regular meatballs, just like when you're making anything else like this, you kind of have to sort of just see what happens. So this seems like it's going to hold together just fine. Another tip, if you make this ahead of time and let it sit overnight, it's going to get even better texture-wise. Okay, so if you have the time, then that's something that you can do. If you don't, then that's okay too. And then just simply go on and form them into little balls like this. You can make them any size. You can bake them in the oven, as I did for you guys today, or you can saute them in a pan. I tried them both ways. I actually prefer them baked in the oven, so that's why I did this for you guys today. At home, it just gets a little bit, I don't know, a little greasy, maybe. But some people do like a little bit more of that sort of fried texture, and they will get a little bit browner in the pan. These are really good with a marinara sauce, just like regular meatballs. You could even make them little sliders, or you could form them and just serve them with toothpicks at a party like I did for you all today. Okay, so I'm going to go on and just finish forming those and check on our kale that's already in the oven. Any questions for me right now?
My mom fixes a lot of kielbasa kale. She'll steam them together, Polish sausage, kale, she'll make soup. And we had a lot of red Russian kale from the CSA, and it would not work. It was too stiff. Do we need to, would massaging it maybe help you?
It must just have more, maybe a little bit more fiber than what was in the kale maybe that you grew up eating. I would say, let's see, so you just did it in the pan, just straight?
She usually, will steam the kale on top of the sausage with a bowl over it.
Okay.
And it would not,
everything?
it would not reduce down when it was red Russian kale, but it would with the regular kale.
Yeah. you could certainly try massaging it and see if that would work and see if that oil and salt would help break down the cells there. I think it just has a little bit maybe more structure than that green curly leaf kale. So that's why it wasn't working. The other thing that you could try is microwaving it first and then steaming it with the sausage, and that would kind of speed up the cooking process a little bit there. Yeah, I'm not sure though. The one thing I will say that if you are baking these balls and you do want them to get a little bit brown, I usually just put a little bit of pan spray on top, because all this is oil. It's just aerosolized oil. So that will help give it a little bit more brownness in the oven, and without having to fry them like that. So